She had always believed that life moved quietly, that feelings stayed small if you never gave them a name. For 3 years, she proved herself right. Every morning, she entered the glass building with the same calm expression, the same simple clothes, the same notebook held close to her chest. She worked hard, spoke little, and never asked for attention. Inside that silence lived a secret that never dared to breathe out loud. Her office crush was not dramatic or loud. It was soft, patient, and hidden behind professionalism. She admired him from a distance. The way he solved problems, the way his voice stayed steady even when meetings turned tense, the way he never looked down on junior staff. He was just another manager then, respected but human, close enough to observe yet far enough to never touch her life. She never imagined the world could flip so violently, or that a man she once watched quietly across conference tables would one day look at her like she was the only thing holding him together. Her name was Ara. She worked in the strategy department. Known for precision and honesty, she had no powerful background, no shortcuts, no family connections. Her strength was endurance. She stayed late, corrected mistakes that weren't hers, and absorbed pressure without complaint. The company became her second home, not because she loved it, but because she needed stability. Her life outside the office was small: a rented room, a few plants on the windowsill, and a routine that never changed. Love for her was not something she expected. It was something she watched other people experience. He was Jihoon. At least that was the name everyone knew. Calm, intelligent, and distant. When she first joined the company, he had trained her for a week. Those 7 days stayed with her longer than years of routine work. He was patient with her questions, corrected her gently, and once stayed late to help her finish a report she was struggling with. That single act became the quiet foundation of her feelings. She never crossed a line, never lingered near his desk, never tried to be noticed. She told herself it was enough just to respect him. Time passed, promotions happened, departments changed. Jihoon disappeared from her daily view. Whispers spread that he had left the company. Some said he went abroad. Others said he had started something big. Ara listened without reacting, telling herself that people come and go and life remains unchanged. Then one morning, everything shattered. The company buzzed with a nervous energy she had never felt before. Executives rushed through hallways. Assistants whispered urgently. A meeting was called, mandatory for all departments. Ara sat quietly, notebook open, unaware that the air itself felt heavier. When the doors opened, silence fell. The man who walked in was not the Jihoon she remembered. He wore a tailored suit, his presence commanding, his eyes sharp and unreadable. He was introduced as the new majority shareholder and CEO, Billionaire. Visionary, the man who had acquired the company overnight. Jihoon. Ara's pen slipped from her fingers. Her heart raced, but her face stayed still. She lowered her gaze, forcing herself to breathe normally. She told herself it was coincidence that he wouldn't remember her. She was just another employee among hundreds. But when his eyes scanned the room, they stopped. On her, just for a second. That second changed everything. From that day on, her quiet life began to fracture. Meetings she was never part of suddenly included her. Reports she submitted were personally reviewed by the CEO. She was called to his office more times in a week than she had been called by any manager in 3 years. At first, she thought it was work. Then she realized it was something else. He watched her. Not openly, not in a way others could easily notice, but with an intensity that made her uncomfortable. His questions were precise, his tone controlled, but there was something beneath it, something restrained. When she spoke, he listened like every word mattered. When others interrupted her, he stopped them without hesitation. Rumors began to grow. Ara hated attention. She tried to shrink back into her old invisibility. But it no longer worked. The CEO's gaze followed her across rooms. His presence felt closer even when he wasn't there. She reminded herself again and again that this was impossible. She was an employee. What she didn't know was that Jihoon had never forgotten her. When he left the company years ago, it wasn't ambition that drove him. It was betrayal. His family's empire had been taken from them, and he had walked away to rebuild from nothing. During those years, one memory stayed with him: a young woman who worked silently, honestly, without expecting praise. She had looked at him once, thinking he didn't notice he had. When he returned as CEO, he didn't plan to interfere with her life. He told himself he would keep distance. But seeing her again, still the same, still enduring everything quietly, something inside him broke open. The world had hardened him, taught him to control, to dominate, to possess. And now all of that control was focused on one person. Ara began to feel the pressure. He defended her fiercely in meetings. He assigned her projects that placed her directly under his supervision. He made sure no one could overwork her unfairly. Yet somehow she was always busy, always near him. She tried to maintain professionalism, but her heart betrayed her. The old feelings resurfaced, stronger and more painful, because now they were mixed with fear. One evening, she stayed late to finish a report. The office was nearly empty when footsteps echoed behind her. She didn't need to turn around to know who it was. "You're still here?" he said. "Yes, sir," she replied, standing quickly. "Sit," he said calmly. She obeyed, hands trembling slightly. He approached, stopping at a careful distance. "You've changed," he said. She swallowed. I don't think so. He smiled faintly, but there was no warmth in it. You're still pretending you don't see me? Her heart pounded. I'm just doing my job. That's what you said 3 years ago too, he replied softly. She froze. You remember, she whispered before she could stop herself. I remember everything he said, especially you. That night, something shifted between them. It wasn't a confession, not yet. But the tension grew thicker, heavier, impossible to ignore. From that moment, his protectiveness turned sharper. If anyone criticized her unfairly, he shut it down instantly. If someone tried to get close to her, he noticed. Ara felt trapped between longing and fear. She didn't understand why a man like him would focus on someone like her. She didn't know that Jihoon saw her as the only honest thing left in his world. The breaking point came when a scandal erupted. Someone framed Ara for leaking confidential information. The company turned cold. Whispers followed her everywhere. She stood alone in the boardroom, accused without proof while executives avoided her eyes. Jihoon listened in silence. When the accusations ended, he stood up. This meeting is over, he said. He presented evidence, traced digital records, and exposed the real culprit without raising his voice. His authority crushed all doubt. When it was over, the room was silent again. Ara couldn't hold herself together anymore. She left the room, tears blurring her vision, walking fast toward the empty corridor. Then his arms wrapped around her. It wasn't gentle, it wasn't violent either. It was firm, grounding, possessive in a way that left no space for denial. He held her close, one hand pressing protectively against her back, the other steady at her shoulder, as if the world could no longer reach her. Don't cry alone, he said quietly near her hair. I won't allow it. She froze, then slowly relaxed, the weight she had carried for years finally breaking. She didn't hug him back, but she didn't pull away. For the first, she felt safe. I trusted you, she whispered. You should, he replied. I've been watching over you longer than you know. That hug became a turning point. After that day, he stopped pretending distance mattered. He didn't touch her again publicly, but everyone felt the change. His possessiveness became visible in his decisions, in how he placed her close yet protected, how he shielded her career without overshadowing her ability. Ara confronted him one night, her voice shaking but determined. Why me? He looked at her for a long moment. Because you never tried to own me, he said. And now I realize I want to belong to you. She didn't answer immediately. Love didn't come easily to someone who had survived by being invisible. But slowly, carefully, she allowed herself to trust. Their story didn't explode into dramatic romance. It unfolded quietly, intensely, built on shared silence and unspoken understanding. The billionaire CEO who controlled markets and companies learned restraint for her. The girl who once admired from afar learned she was worth being protected, not possessed as an object, but cherished as a choice. And in a world that had tried to break them both, they found something rare, not loud love, but unshakable.